Hello, everybody. Dialectic Diabetic here again. When I first got diagnosed with diabetes, I was given some insulin pens, some long lasting insulin, some short acting insulin, and then a glucose meter, and given some education and stuff on what I needed to do and how to use these things and everything. And then a few years after that, after I was pretty controlled with it, I was asked by a lot of doctors to, or a few doctors anyway, to get on the pump. And I didn't like that idea because something attached to me, and I do a lot of very active stuff. Ride dirt bikes, climb poles, things like that. And I didn't think that having something attached to me was very practical. For me, the pump has worked really great. A lot easier to control the diabetes for me, being on the pump. But I wanted to talk about some pros and cons of both, and give you some ideas. Let you guys decide what you're doing, if or you want to do, if you're being asked the same questions or by your doctors, or you just don't know which route to go. Um, One thing about the injections is they are a lot cheaper than the pump. The pump, you have to buy a bunch of supplies and things like that uh, to be able to use it and everything like that. And the injections are really simple to use, actually. The hardest part is doing the math on your own to figure out how many units you got to take. Um, uh, and you don't have something you have to wear on you all the time. Um, it What I also liked about the injections is I rarely had problems with the pins. Every once in a while, the little clicker on the top would not work right or whatever, and that would cause problems. But they're really simple to use. There ain't much to them. I mean, like I said, the hardest part is just doing the math per your meal to do it with. What I had to do with the injections a lot is I had to check my sugars a lot. I was checking them 12, 15 times a day to make sure that my levels were staying where I wanted them to be. When I had the injections and everything, my A1C was averaged around like 7.4, which is kind of high, but it was doing okay. I had it as low as 5.9 when I was getting my Class A CDL when I first got into this industry, but I was eating nothing but salads, and I mean, I was never full of food. It was pretty untasteful time, I guess. But with the injections, with that, you have to carry more stuff. Like, you're carrying both sets of injections. If you go like hang out at a buddy's house at night or whatever the case, you're carrying both the injections, you're carrying the needles, you're carrying your glucose monitor, and everything like that. And you got to carry like 4 or 5 different needles, because one, you're not supposed to use them back to back. I did, but you're not really supposed to. And also, I've had instances where I've taken one needle and I've bent that needle, taken it out of the little holder deal, and now you're not going to get insulin out of it. You're screwed. So you got to carry more supplies and remember more things. Also, with those pens, you need to keep them cold. So you're carrying around this little uh, cooler baggy thing with ice packs in it and stuff like that to try to keep it cold. Using your friends' fridges, putting it in there, and then if you forget it in the morning, well, shoot, now you got to go back, and it's kind of a mess. Um, Another thing about the pens is you only get full units of insulin. With this pump, I can give a quarter unit, half a unit, even less in between of all that too. If you're bolusing and you say, well, I'm going to need 8 units of insulin for this time. And then you're having a low. But then you go to 7 units and now you're going a little high. Well, with the pump, you can go like 7.5 and you level right out. It's pretty cool. And another thing that with the injections that everybody knows kind of sucks is you have to stab yourself multiple times a day. And if you're like me, smaller guy, a little more muscular, you're supposed to inject it into fat, and you don't have very much fat to put it in. So you start stabbing the same spots over and over and over again. You end up with these big bruises, and it's not that fun. Again, you have to do math to figure out your units and things like that, and then it's like playing with it really, because not everybody is different, or everybody is the same. Everybody is different. The amount of insulin I need for eating a granola bar is going to be different from what you need, potentially. The biggest thing with these is really learning how to read labels. That's with pump or whatever. Learning how to read labels and learning how much you're eating of carbs and stuff every time you eat. That's really a big thing. Another thing that I do not like about the injections is like with your basal insulin. Let's say you take 14, 15 units that night, you're going to bed or whatever, in the morning, however you do it. You take 14, 15 units. Well, that's what you're getting throughout the whole day period. Where the pump, it will adjust your basal units. If you have the auto mode thing, it'll see that, okay, well, he's been trending low at this time of day, so we're going to give them less at this time of day per hour, and it's pretty cool. Like I said, you have to carry around 2 different types of injections if you're going to be out and about or whatever the case. You have to have your long lasting, you have to have your short acting, and needles to go along with that, everything else like that. Some people get kind of embarrassed when they have to, lift up their shirt, give yourself a shot when you're going out to dinner with the family or whatever the case, friends or whatever. It's not like super discreet, and some people get embarrassed. I was never one of those people, but if you are, that's another thing that the pump kind of helps with, because I mean, it looks like you're playing a little Game Boy or whatever, playing on your phone to get your bolus going. If you are on injections, or you do decide to stay on it or get on injections, whatever the case, I really 100%, and I fought this for years too, but really, really, really suggest you get a CGM, so more or less where your sugars are at and how you're trending. And it has little alarms on it that'll go off if you're trending low, trending high, whatever the case like that. But yeah, if you want to stay on injections, that's 100% up to you, whatever fits your lifestyle. But I would recommend getting that. With this pump that I got with the CGM and everything like that, I like being able to just to pull out my pump and look at my blood sugar. Now, is it real time? Sometimes no. If you're spiking high or spiking low, whatever the case, it's not always accurate with what you're doing. So you still have to have your glucometer to calibrate it and everything like that. And sometimes even just, I feel like I'm high, but this thing's saying I'm at 130. So you check it and it's like, oh, 180. All right, cool. Yeah. And the reason why that happens is your sensors measure your blood glucose differently than your glucometer does. Your glucometer, as we all know, is blood from your fingertips. The CGMs measure it in your fat. It has like a little feather that just sticks around in there, and that's how that measures. So sometimes they're a little bit off. That's why you have to continually calibrate it at times. Especially when you first start a brand new sensor, you have to calibrate it like 3 or 4 times before it finally catches up and it's okay with things. Um, but with that, you don't have to spend as much on test strips because, sometimes I feel, oh man, I'm kind of worried about it. So I'll pull my glucometer out and check it, and 112, great, perfect. Okay. Allergies are messing with me. You, Another thing that's cool about the pump is you don't have to stab yourself near as much. You know, that's always a plus when it comes to this disease. Um, in this pump here, there's also an algorithm that measures your trends, more or less. And it sees, okay, these times of days he's spiking high, these times of days they're spiking low, whatever the case. These times of days he needs a minimal amount of insulin. Well, that little algorithm in there does your basal rate for you. So if you trend high at different times of days, like nighttime is usually when most people trend kind of high, the pump will not give you more insulin at that point of day than in the middle of the day when you're doing, working or whatever the case, you do. Um, you don't have to literally guess on the units. With this pump here, the doctor or the rep from whatever pump you decide comes to you and asks about your trends, what you do, what you eat, all this other junk. They go over like reading the labels and things like that. So once they program it for your bolus rates. Once you once it's programmed like that, all you have to do is punch in, this is my blood sugar at this time, and these are the amount of carbs I'm going to eat. So then the little algorithm in there, I say, okay, normally he's trending high, he's trending low, he's perfect at this time of day, so we're going to give him this much insulin. If you trend high at that point of time, it gives you more. If you trend low, it gives you less, things like that. But it has an average of where you programmed it that it will always give you. And let's say like with injections, you check your stuff or whatever, and you say, oh, I need a correction bolus because I'm at 180. Okay. With the injection, you give yourself however many units you do. Push that little button, it's there, done. Okay. With this pump, you type in what your blood sugar is. The pump figures out how many units you're going to need. And then you just push the button and it goes. If for some reason you bolus or whatever for a meal and you see like, oh, I'm about to take in 30 units of insulin, when really you only need 20, you start doing the math after you already pushed the bolus button, you go, oh, crap. Well, I can pull out my pump, stop it halfway through, or however long through, I could just stop the bolus at where I need it, and it's done. Whereas the injection, once you get that injection, it's there. That's done. You're gonna have to eat that many carbs, whatever it is programmed to. Another cool thing about this pump that really helps in ways is you can upload it. They have an app on the phone now where it communicates with the sensor and the pump, and you can upload your trends, what you do, everything online, and it communicates with your rep from your mine's a Medtronic, your rep at Medtronic, and your doctors, whoever you say you can. You can even put it like me personally, you put it send your wife updates. So if I get like super low, it like sends like a little message to my wife's phone and stuff like that. It's pretty neat, because like if I'm working in the garage or something on my bike or whatever the case, I pass out, this pump can send a message to her phone if I program it that way, so that's pretty neat. This thing has alarms. Like I said before, it has a lot of alarms that like wake you up at night when you're trending low and everything like that. When I was on injections, my wife would tell me sometimes I'd wake up in the morning. She goes, "Man, I had to give you some glucose gel last night because you were all shaking and sweating and just it was bad." And she'd check my sugar and yeah, you're at like 34. And she'd give me a whole bunch of glucose gel to get me going and then wake me up and say, "Hey, you went low, do this," but of course you're half asleep, you know. So it's all but eliminated that because the alarm goes off, says, "Hey, you're trending low, you might want to do something." Boom. You get up, you fix it, everything's good. And my A1C has gotten so much better. Like I said, more or less about a 6.5 now. Sometimes lower, sometimes higher, but not over a 7, and in a healthy amount where I want it, where I don't have, where you don't see the trend, the lows and everything like that anymore. But yeah, it's and it has all kinds of different setups in the pump. Like if I don't want to use auto mode and I want to just use it to do my basal and bolus stuff, I could turn the auto mode off and I could program my basal stuff and everything like that and do that. It's not really recommended, but you can. You can even do like temp, like you set whatever range you want your blood glucose to be in. Like mine's set 130 to 70 or something like that. And the pump does stuff to try to keep it within that range. But then when I go ride my bike or I'm doing a heavy intense workout or stuff, I can set a temporary area to be in. So like I could put, like, I want it to be at 150 or 130 to 150, just so while I'm working out it doesn't just tank on me, Also, look at my, you can suspend your insulin delivery. So if you are trending low really bad, it'll show you 3 down arrows. That means it's going real low real fast. So you can actually stop your basal from happening. You just go and push the little pause button and it stops. So you're not receiving more insulin. Where with injections, like I said, once you give it, that's what you got. And you're just going to have to deal with it. Where this, you can stop it all. And another cool thing about these pumps is you can see, because insulin lasts more or less 2 hours in your body. Everybody is different. Some do 4 hours. But that's something for your doctor to figure out. But it tells you, like, okay, you're at 150. But you have 2 active units of insulin still in your system. So you know it's going to drop even more because the full 2 units, for me anyway, it drops it pretty quickly. And that tells you if you should take more, you shouldn't take more. Where if you're on injection, you inject yourself, 2 hours later or an hour and a half later, you check it again, you're like, man, I'm still high, and then you give yourself more. Well, you still have insulin in you. Then you gave yourself more. Now you're going to go, boom, straight down. You only carry 1 insulin with the pump. Okay, 1 insulin. It's just the quick release. I'm on Novolog. I just carry that 1 insulin. There's no more basal insulin, no more none of that. The pump does all that stuff for me. So that's kind of nice, save a little bit there, I guess. But the bad things about the pump, some of them anyway, is it is man-made. Okay, it's mechanical, very mechanical. And if something gets screwed up with it, like I went on a hike and the little ring that holds my reservoir in, it broke. I wasn't getting as much insulin as I needed. My sugar went high. I got dehydrated, like really super dehydrated. And the next day I was in DKA. I should have been carrying my backup insulin, my pens, but I never thought it would really happen. I never thought about it. So now when I go on these places, I take my backup injections with me, and I take extra parts and pieces for the pump here, the reservoirs, the tubing, all that other mess. Um, but that was like a one-time instance. Another thing is, like, again, if you're a smaller or muscular guy or whatever, those cannulas tend to bend. They hit your muscle and they go punk, and when they're like this, they're kinked. There is an alarm on here that if the insulin is completely blocked, it will send an alarm saying, hey, um, blocked flow, check your cannula. And you pull it out, and sure enough, blunk, it's kinked or whatever, and you're done. You replace it, and it's fixed. But they offer a wide range of different cannulas. Like, I have one that's more like an IV. It goes into my skin and my fat, like, sideways, and it's a little longer, but it goes in sideways, and I don't hit the muscle or anything anymore. They even have stainless steel ones. They got the ones I was on before were little short, like tiny freaking cannulas there. You don't have to manually insert it if you don't want to. They have little quick injector things, or you cock it back in a punk, spring loaded, and it pops it right in your skin for you or wherever it needs to go. Another bad thing, well, not necessarily bad, because your injections can't do that either, but if you're trending high really at a fast rate, your pump cannot keep up with that, okay? It will minimally, but it won't keep up with a huge fast spike yet. Got something pretty cool to talk about after this part. And of course, you're wearing something on your body. You got tubing, like you see right here. My little tubing sticks out sometimes. I have snagged it on stuff, ripped the cannula clean out, but like I said, I carry extra cannulas and stuff like that with me, so I can replace it. And the company's been great. Medtronic's been great. If a sensor goes bad quicker than it should, it lasts 7 days. If it goes bad quicker than it should, they send you replacements. Same with the reservoir, same with the cannulas, everything else. But yeah, I mean, for me, the pump has worked awesome. Right? I mean, I'm in range 88% of the time. The highest I've seen my in range since I've had this pump is 92% of the time, which is that is stellar when you say that you're in range between 70 to 160 80% of the time, or 90% of the time. That is freaking awesome. Another cool thing about this pump, new things coming out, just sent to the FDA and everything to get approval, is the 870G system. Now, this is really awesome because you don't have to, what it's doing is it has a different algorithm, a different software that you don't have to do correction boluses anymore. What it does is it sees the trend going high and spiking, and it will do it for you. Keep it down. It will keep it down. I have a buddy there at work that his daughter was on the clinical trials of it, and they told her to eat like this little piece of donut hole or something like that had like 25 grams of carbs or whatever, and don't take any insulin. Let the pump just figure it out. And her blood sugar never got over like 180 or 200 or something like that. Without taking a bolus, she ate 25 grams of carbs, and it did not spike over 300 or 200, I mean. That is awesome. And if you get the 770G system, which some people say it didn't work for them or whatever, but for me, it's been working great. You get an upgrade free downloading software when it comes out and is approved by the FDA to the 870G stuff. So that is, I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, this pump for me has been awesome. I wish I would have gone on it earlier. I mean, they make little belts and stuff you can put it in and hide it in different places. And the tubing, they make it in like 23 inches, 18 inches, however long you need it. For the ladies that like to wear it in there, put the pump in their bra or whatever the case, they got tubing for all lengths and everything. Comes with clips. You can decorate it if you want. I mean, it's pretty neat. But yeah, like I said, the pump has done wonders for me. I've also done well on injections. But there's just some things that the pump can do that the injections are, it, it's it's far behind it, you know. um so yeah, go ahead and make up your own mind on this thing and see what you feel about it. But I vote for the pump, to be honest with you. Really, really, really look into it and really think about it, because it's made my blood sugar so much better and everything. And yeah, I couldn't get back on injections, the same way again. Be confident with it. But like I said, if you're gonna stay with injections, I really, 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 really recommend a CGM, something, because it has like a little thing in there that'll do the alarms and everything, tell you you're going high, you're going low, things like that. But yeah, look into it, check it out. But the biggest thing that helps me too is, number one, diet and exercise. That's, you got to get on a program. If you don't get on a program and you're still eating the same way as a normal person would, pizza, burgers, chips, all this other stuff all the time, it's not going to do what it's supposed to do for you. Like, it will help. It'll make things a lot easier than giving injections and stuff. It will help. But the to get actually healthier and to get your A1Cs where they need to be, you need to get on a decent diet, decent exercise program, and just keep building yourself and everything. Don't just rely on technology and stuff to help you out. And by the way, let's say you do get it under control and you're eating cheeseburgers and pizza all the time, and you got the pump working fine for you. Oh yeah, you eat all the same stuff. Well, what happens to a normal person when they eat like that all the time? Get fat, right? Then other problems happen. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. Get on diet, exercise program. Really do your research on pumps, injections, things like that. Again, this is my opinion, and my opinion comes from actually doing both for a number of years. But yeah, any other further questions or anything like that, hit me up, Facebook, Dialectic Diabetic, or here, whatever, YouTube, whatever you feel is necessary. Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all be great.